Hebrews, Hebrews, Hebrews. This is Prophets of Awakening. This is our Sabbath class, the 16th of November, okay, 2024. Okay, the title inside the room is The Wall, Nehemiah, and the Sealed Ones, okay? So we're going to deal with that. And you can go to our YouTube channel, The Prophets of Awakening, check out our videos. We have over 1,000 or so videos that you can look at, examine the videos, and these videos will lead you into the truth of the Holy Scriptures, okay? And if you like what you're hearing and receiving, I'm asking you to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. It'd be greatly appreciated. And we also have our Cash App. You want to support the channel, that too would be appreciated, okay? We're on live on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, 7 to 9 Central Time. That's PM. And then we have our Shabbat classes on Saturday on Shabbat morning class. Then we have that's from 10 to 12 a.m. in the morning. And then we come back and close out the Shabbat in the evening for about an hour. It's from 6 to 7 p.m. Central Time. And then we have a Sunday class that we have. We have a Sunday class on every Sunday at 5 o'clock p.m. It normally lasts about an hour and a half. So those are our times that we live on this channel. And we have our men's line. That we have our men's Bible study. That's on Non-Messianic Conversations. That's every Thursday, 7 to 9. And then we have a women's advanced Bible study. That's every Thursday at 7 to 9. And the men's is from 7 to 9 on Fridays on Non-Messianic Conversations. So those are the times that we live. You want to join in, check us out. You are welcome. Okay. For those that don't know, this is a non-Messianic channel. We deal with Tanakh and the Torah. Tanakh being the Old Testament, so-called Book of Remembrance, and the Torah is the first 5 books of the Old Testament that was given to Moses. Okay. By our Redeemer, the Lord of Hosts. Shalom and welcome to this channel, and welcome to our Sabbath class. We're going to do our normal, which is a moment of silence, a Sabbath prayer, Psalms. Then we have some current events, need to know information. Then we'll open it up for some Q&A for anybody that have anything that they want to dialogue or talk about. And then we go into our class, like I said, the Wall, Nehemiah, and the Sealed Ones. Okay, gonna look at that and see how it correlates with what's supposed to happen in the end times. Okay. So with that being said, all this moment of silence is for the Lord of Hosts, and all that He's doing to bring about our prophesied deliverance in this last day. Oh Lord, we come before Thee at this time on the day which You have set apart for us at the beginning of Your Sabbath that You have given on us for rest. And we are thankful for all the knowledge and the understanding that You have given us up until this point. When we seek Thy face on this Shabbat, that You shower us with peace and enlightenment and sense of togetherness. Turn not Thy face from us, but hearken unto our plea. Hearken, O Lord, and do. All praises unto You. Okay. Read the song. All right. Read Psalms 4. It's an evening prayer of trust in God. Okay. Hear me when I call, O God, of my righteousness. Thou hast enlarged me when I was in distress. Have mercy upon me and hear my prayer. O ye sons of men, how long will ye turn my glory into shame? How long will you love vanity and seek after leasing? Selah. But now that the Lord has set apart him that is godly for Himself, the Lord will hear when I call on Him. Stand in awe and sin not. Commune with your own heart upon your bed and be still. Selah. Offer the sacrifices of righteousness and put your trust in the Lord. There be many that say, who will show us any good? Lord, lift thou up the light of thy countenance upon us. Thou hast put gladness in my heart more than in the time that their corn and their wine increase. And I will both lay me down in peace and sleep, for thou, Lord, only maketh me dwell safely. So I'm going to shine a light on this Psalm 4. I'm going to shine a light on verse 6. You always seen that it says, David saying, rise and shine, O Lord, right? So we see right here what that means. Verse 6 says, there'll be many that say, who will show us any good? Lord, lift up thy light of thy countenance, right, upon us. So that's when he says, when he come forth, it says, lift up thy countenance, right? So that's what he means shine, when he says shine forth on us. Okay. So with that being said, let me get this 1 minute. We're gonna do some more current event. Okay. Oh, what's up, Sword? Okay. So with that being said, we go to some current event. Get this real quick.
Mali has shaken up the global and African landscape by announcing the repayment of $332 million in foreign and domestic debt, becoming the first African nation to fully free itself from these financial obligations. This achievement has shocked corrupt leaders across Africa, as Captain Assimi Goïta's government boldly steps forward to claim Mali's economic sovereignty. This move sparks a multitude of questions. How has Assimi Goïta managed this economic feat in such a short time? What strategic measures were undertaken? And what message does this send to other African leaders who may have ties to foreign influences? Today, we'll break down this groundbreaking story, looking at the pivotal steps Mali has taken and the potential for an economic revolution across Africa. For decades, Mali, like many African nations, has been burdened by overwhelming debt, both a legacy of colonialism and decades of dependency on foreign loans. This debt has impacted Mali's schools, hospitals, and infrastructure, stifling progress and leaving the country in a cycle of dependency.
Take a look at this half-finished building. Sam Altman personally invested.
Mali's recent debt repayment not only changes this narrative, but also represents a powerful statement of self-determination. By eliminating foreign and domestic debt, Mali, under Assimi Goïta, is asserting its control over its own destiny. In recent years, Mali, alongside its neighbors Burkina Faso and Niger, has taken a strong stance against external interference. These countries face crippling sanctions from ECOWAS, leading to debt defaults that could have brought them to their knees. Yet, rather than submitting to international pressure, Assimi Goïta's government in Mali made bold economic choices that ultimately freed the nation from the shackles of debt. This success story could be a beacon for other African countries seeking to break free from the grip of unsustainable foreign debt. Sub-Saharan Africa currently holds more than $700 billion in external debt. These obligations drain resources that could otherwise be invested in critical sectors like healthcare, education, and infrastructure. Every year, billions flow out of Africa in debt repayments, which perpetuates the cycle of dependency. Mali's decisive debt repayment, however, shows a new path forward, one that questions the influence of neo-colonial financial dynamics and prioritizes true African sovereignty. This isn't just about Mali. It's a signal to all African nations that a new era of financial autonomy may be within reach. Mali's debt clearing initiative is part of a larger movement among Sahel nations to reclaim economic independence. This movement has inspired the formation.
So you say, why am I playing this, right? I keep on shining a light on this. When you understand who the true Israelites are, that's where the end times is surrounding the real Israelites, not the fake ones that's over in the land over there in the land of so-called Israel right now, but the true Israelites. You got to figure out where they at. Then you got to start dealing with prophecy. So it says in Isaiah chapter 60, arise and shine, for thy light have come. The Lord is over thee. So we see right here, back in 143 BC, the Israelites fled out of the land of Israel. Daniel had prophesied it. It fled out and they ended up over on the west coast of Africa with the people of so-called this Negro land, or the Sahel, whatever you want to call it, but it's actually where the Israelites are at. And for the longest, over 2,500 years, they've been oppressed by the European powers and all that. But now we see, in the case of this video, where Mali just overcame his debt. And we see what's going on with Burkina Faso and Niger. And now we see, we talked about last night how Mozambique starting to join with them, Uganda starting to join with them. So that's actually what we're looking at is prophecy. The Most High is bringing them up, like he said. He's going to convert the forces of the Gentile unto the Israelites. So you have to know who the Israelites are in order to understand that prophecy. And so every chance I get, I'm going to try to show you that. So we see right here that Mali just shocked the world by paying off all his debts, right? And we already see what Abraham Traore is doing over in Burkina Faso and the other guy in Niger. So we just slowly, we see them, Most High breaking that burden off of them, and they rising, okay? Just like he said, he's converting the wealth of the Gentiles back to the Israelites where they got it from. Okay, any comments on that? Okay, we got another one here. I mean, this is pretty interesting right here to me because everybody thought you had all these people that voted for Trump and then all these Anglo-Saxons, I'm gonna say, that voted for him thinking that it was gonna be a good thing. But check this out. Reality is starting to set in.
Thank you very much. Elon Musk! This is a made-up crime. It's nice to win. Next time we go up even a fraction of what we went up.
From strange to stranger. That sums up Donald Trump's cabinet. He's named a few more people to run the US government, and it's all that the media can talk about in Europe, here in India, in Africa, basically all over the world. We generally do not cover government formation like this. We cover the campaign, we cover the results, and that's about it. Such an intense coverage on cabinet picks is rare. I mean, can you name Britain's defense secretary or China's finance minister or India's attorney general? Chances are you can't. But you know that Trump's Pentagon chief is a Fox News host. It shows the sort of power the US wields in world affairs. It also tells you how they dominate media narratives. There are so many reports, so many leaks, so many insider accounts, so the whole thing becomes riveting to cover. Of course, Trump's choices are added to the intrigue. Meet his pick for Attorney General, the man who will head the US Department of Justice, sort of like America's top cop, the FBI, the Drug Enforcement Agency, all of them will report to him. And his name is Matt Gaetz.
This is the guy I was talking about last night. Got to research him. You probably have seen it, but this the dude that's Attorney General.
A congressman from the state of Florida. Even Republicans are surprised by this choice.
Redneck,
One
extreme
lawmaker said
redneck.
that he was stunned and disgusted. Another said that Gates has a better shot at dining with Queen Elizabeth than being confirmed by the Senate. And yes, he is talking about the late British monarch. John Bolton called this the worst cabinet pick in history. And Bolton was Trump's national security advisor, a longtime Republican. I'm sure you're wondering what this outrage is all about. Well, listen to Gates' resume. He ousted a Republican House Speaker in 2023. He was investigated in a sex trafficking case. He was probed for sexual misconduct and drug abuse. And he once invited a Holocaust denier to the US Congress. That should give you an idea. But Trump says Gates is a gifted attorney, someone who will reform the Justice Department. Which brings us to his other pick, Tulsi Gabbard, as Director of National Intelligence, basically America's intelligence chief. Now, Gabbard used to be a Democratic congresswoman, but she supported Trump this time. She was also America's first Hindu lawmaker, and her politics, like Trump, she wants Washington to withdraw from foreign wars. She opposes military aid to Ukraine. She also wants US withdrawal from Syria and Iraq. Interestingly, Gabbard met Syrian President Bashar al-Assad in 2017, right in the middle of the Syrian civil war. In 2019, Hillary Clinton claimed that Russia was grooming her, sort of like a deep state Kremlin candidate. Many Republicans are unhappy with this choice, with Tulsi Gabbard, but she and Gates may find it hard to get Senate confirmation. At least 50 senators need to approve their appointment. On paper, this should not be a problem because Republicans have 53 seats in the US Senate. But a number of them are privately concerned, and not just about the cabinet picks. Look at this report. It says the Trump team is planning a purge at the Pentagon. They're drawing up a list of officers to fire. Even Joint Chiefs of Staff are said to be on this list, especially those appointed by Mark Milley. The Joint Chiefs are the heads of different military wings, like the Air Force, the Navy, or the Marines. And Milley used to be Trump's chairman of Joint Chiefs, sort of like a chief among chiefs. He later called Trump a fascist to the core. So Trump wants to root out his appointees, it seems, and that may include his successor, General Brown. Trump's allies have asked if he got the top job because he was black. So expect a churn at the Pentagon. I'm sure US rivals like China and Russia will be quite happy to see that. Trump himself was in Washington yesterday. He was invited to the White House by President Joe Biden. No animosity, no tension in the air. It was like two old golfing buddies chilling around. Take a look at this.
Well, Mr. President-elect and former President and Donald, congratulations. And looking forward to having like we said, a smooth transition. Whatever we can, make sure you're accommodated, what you need. We're going to get a chance to talk to us about today. It's good. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And politics is tough, and it's in many cases not a very nice world, but it is a nice world today, and I appreciate it very much. A transition that's so smooth, it'll be as smooth as it can get, and I very much appreciate that.
And how did the talks go? The White House says it was substantive and cordial, which is frankly a surprise, because not very long ago, Trump called Biden the worst president in US history, and Biden compared Trump to Hitler. Yet the two men had a cozy fireside chat. I guess that is politics for you. But before going to the White House, Trump met with Republican lawmakers. They have won both houses of Congress, the US Senate and the House of Representatives. So Trump will have absolute control in Washington. And what will he do with that power? Well, he did drop a hint. Listen to this.
I suspect I won't be running again unless you do something. Unless you say, he's so good, we have to just figure it out.
A third term in office. Is that even possible? Legally, no. The US Constitution caps the presidential terms at 2. But constitutions can be amended. You need 2/3 majorities in the House and Senate, plus approval from 38 out of 50 states. Realistically speaking, it may not be possible. Only one US president has served more than 2 terms. Franklin Roosevelt in the 1930s and 40s, and he had a good excuse to do so. First, the Great Depression, and then the Second World War. Donald Trump does not have those excuses, and his supporters say he was joking anyway.
nice to win.
He also joked about his new friend Elon Musk. Listen to what he said. Elon won't go home. I can't get rid of him. Again, we can tell he was joking, but some members of Trump's team are actually concerned. Musk has visited Mar-a-Lago almost every day since Trump's victory. He's also joining his calls with world leaders. Musk is in those calls between world leaders and Donald Trump. So the Trump team says he is overstaying his welcome. One of them said that he was acting like a co-president. Well, too late now. Musk has used X to peddle his importance to Trump. It's as if his support pushed Trump over the line. So a lot of campaign insiders are unhappy. They feel that Musk is stealing credit. Frankly, this...
Okay, anybody have any comments on that? Okay. Yeah, so it's causing a stir. This guy they got for the Attorney General. If you don't know what it is, you need to research it. He's a character, and they got him over our law enforcement. Okay, check it out. We go to some need to know information. Let me see on there. Yeah, need to know information. I thought this was alarming too.
Excuse me, Stephen Miller recently tweeted that they want to start in 2025 a denaturalization process. Denaturalization is where you strip people of their U.S. citizenship. Now, the principal way that people, second generation immigrants, in other words, people whose parents came here as immigrants, acquire citizenship is through what's called birthright citizenship, which is written into the 14th Amendment. And what it says basically is if you're born in the United States, you're a citizen of the United States. Now, we can debate whether that's a wonderful thing or not. There's very few countries actually that have birthright citizenship. In most countries, you have to either you're a citizen by lineage, or you have to jump through a bunch of hoops, as it were. But here in the United States, if mom can get here and give birth to you, you are a citizen. So Stephen Miller, as I mentioned, said he wants to do a denaturalization process. Now that generally speaking, naturalized citizens are people who were not citizens when they came here, but applied for citizenship and received it. So there's kind of three categories here: people who were who are what you might call a natural born citizen. In other words, their parents were citizens and therefore they are citizens and they were born in the United States. Category number one. And nobody's talking about going after those folks. Category number two, people who applied for citizenship and got it, naturalized citizen. And category number three, birthright citizens. That is, mom came to this country, dropped the baby is you are now a citizen, even though mom wasn't. And that's birthright citizenship. So, as I mentioned, Stephen Miller wants to undo the people who have applied for citizenship. And by the way, for the last, half a decade, maybe longer, maybe more than a decade, more than 50% of people applying for and receiving naturalization, receiving U.S. citizenship, have not been white. The majority of these naturalized citizens are not white people. It's not white people from Europe who are clamoring to get into the United States. If anything, it's the other way around. But people of color from all over the world are trying to get into the United States, and that's what Stephen Miller wants to reverse. But it always seemed that birthright citizenship was, okay. What's the big deal? People get here, they have a baby, their baby has U.S. citizenship. Well, this is what Judge James Ho of the 5th U.S. Circuit Court said in an interview on a podcast recently. He said, and I quote, "Birthright citizenship obviously doesn't apply in case of war or invasion. No one, to my knowledge, has ever argued that the children of invading aliens are entitled to birthright citizenship. And I can't imagine what the legal argument for that would be. It's like the debate over unlawful combatants after 9/11. Everybody agrees that birthright citizenship does not apply to the children of lawful combatants. And it's hard to see anyone arguing that unlawful combatants should be treated more favorably than lawful combatants." What he's talking about here is finding a sneaky little loophole to get the Supreme Court. It would start, in the 5th Circuit with him, to get that, and he was one of these guys who was like, you know, gung ho with Trump's torture stuff. But this is a sneaky way to get, or not, I don't know if it's sneaky. I mean, he's coming around and saying it, but a way to get a case before the Supreme Court where the Supreme Court can say, you know, yeah, the Constitution says if you're born here, you're a citizen, but we're not sure. And if your parents came here legally and you were born here, then sure, you're a citizen. But if your parents came here illegally, then you're part of an invading army. And therefore, even though you were born here, you're not entitled to citizenship under this logic that Judge James Ho of the 5th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals is laying out.
Okay. Any comments on that? Look like they're attacking the black folks to me. Okay.
Right. We're not from here either.
Exactly. Right. And like he said, the people that with the law they pertaining to that recently received this, they were all people of color. It wasn't no Europeans or white folks. It was all people of color. So sound like to me they're coming around to what I was saying about Pastor Manning that was brought up the other day. So they got something playing. They got a whole, you know what I mean? And now it makes sense. This crazy guy they getting to be the Attorney General. It's all adding up. Starting to look, you know, that Project 2025. Yeah.
Shalom. Being that our forefathers or ancestors came from overseas, we as now here on this land, we have never been over there, but our ancestors have. So
Right.
by us being descendants of them, but we have been born here on this land, would we not be considered as native of this land versus native of our forefathers' land?
Well, yeah, according to their law, like he said in the curses, he's going to cast us out and cast us over into the land, and then we're going to pick up their ways and deal with their laws. He told our forefathers when they went to Babylon, go to Babylon. It's already been prophesied. Daniel already told you. You're going to Babylon for 7 years. So go. Build houses, vineyards, have children, get married, and serve Nebuchadnezzar, his king, his son, and his grandson. It's the same thing apply here. But we got prophecies on us. So when that prophecy comes to pass and it comes and overtakes us, all that don't apply. We got a homeland that he said he's going to return us to. So once that prophecy start unfolding, everything else is Mark's Nix. Okay.
Yes, sir. So the land that we're returning to, if it's during our time now, would be where?
It's over in Africa. It's up for debate with me, but when you look at prophecy, it's what I go by, and in Ezekiel 37, he said he's gonna Obadiah and Ezekiel 37, where we got a prophecy on Edom, because Edom was the one that influenced the Romans, which was their brothers, to come in Antiochus and ran us out of the land. And a lot of people, when you go to First Maccabees, a lot of Israelites were slaughtered in the land of Israel. That's the reason why they had to flee, because they was killing so many of them. They had to flee there. So they shed Israelite blood all over the land. So in order to cleanse the land and bring us back, the people that shedded the blood, their blood got to be shed in the same place. It's like a positive and negative. We got to cancel. They got to happen in order for us to go back. So when you understand who Esau is, he's over there posing as the Israelites. So when you look at it in that way, the so-called fake Israel, the Israelis over there now are the Edomites. So that's our land. And so they have to be judged in the land where they cause the atrocities to us at. And when you see that happen, that's when he says, you know, our time is come, because he got to rid himself of those people in order to bring us back. So
Shem.
that's what I'm.
But the land of Shem, are we the descendants of Shem or
Right.
Ham?
Shem.
Shem?
Right.
Okay. So the land given to him, that's where we're going back to.
The land of Canaan. Like I
Yes,
was
sir.
saying, Canaan was stolen land. When you go back and you do your research on the history of that, when they got off the boat, the land was divided up. Same way that Joshua divided up the land of Israel. It was divided up by Ham, Shem, and Japhet and Canaan. And so the land over in the Middle East was given to Shem. Canaan was given Mesopotamia. So Canaan was on his way to his land, which is in Mesopotamia. And he viewed the land that Shem had, which is over there. So he stole it. And then, so that's what, when we pick up the story of our forefather Abraham and Terah and all of them, they in Mesopotamia because of Canaan stole their land, misplaced them. So they ended up, that's why when we pick the story up, they in Mesopotamia. And so when you understand who the Redeemer is, the Lord of hosts, he appears to Abraham to right a wrong that had happened earlier. Let me read it. So you go to Genesis chapter 12. And this right here, like I say, when you understand this, it cancels out the New Testament, it cancels out who the Redeemer is. We're going to go into that in a minute, but yeah, this story right here cancels out the fact that Creator had a son hidden somewhere waiting to bring him in. But I'm in Genesis chapter 12, right? So it says, and I'm in chapter 12, verse 1. Now the Lord, see that? Not Jesus, the Lord of hosts, has said unto Abraham, get thee out of thy country and from thy kindred and from thy father's house, right? So terror. They got because of what Canaan done, they got relocated into the Mesopotamia. So he says, and from thy father's house unto a land that I will show thee, taking him back to the land that Shem that originally gave him, that Noah had originally gave him. That's what the Lord doing. Verse 2, I will make thee a great nation, and I will bless thee and make thy name great, and thou shalt be a blessing. And I will bless them that bless thee, curse him that curseth thee, and thou shalt all the families of the earth bless thee. Abraham departed as the Lord had spoken unto him, and Lot went with him, and Abraham was 75 years old when he departed from Haran. That's over in Mesopotamia. And Abraham took Sarah his wife, and Lot his brother, and all their substance, and they had gathered, and the souls that had been gotten in Haran, and they went forth, and they went into the land of Canaan. See, back to the land of Canaan. In the land of Canaan, they came. So he's taking them back. So he's fixing the wrong that had happened earlier when Cain stole the land. He's taking Abraham back there to fix it. Okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you. It connects dots. I can see it a little clearer now. Thank you.
Okay. So with that being said, I'm gonna open it up for some Q&A. Anybody have any questions or comments about something they came across or they heard on this channel? If they want some clarity or dialogue. Yeah. So like I said earlier, I was talking about what happened with Canaan and Shem and how the land got mixed all up. And and then it's the God, our God, the God that's over Israel, our deliverer. That's who came to Abraham. He the one fixing everything. He's deliverer. Everything that happens with Israel, with Abraham and his descendants, this Lord is our deliverer. He the one that's fixing all that. So we see that he came and got Abraham and took him back to the land of Canaan to fix that. And so right here, later on, after he fulfilled the prophecy that about he's going to multiply their seed, and they all in the land of Israel, they went to Africa and they multiplied in Africa. And the reason they multiplied with all that was going on was because it was a prophecy on them. That the Lord said he's going to multiply. So it was nothing that the Egyptians can do to stop the prophecy. They multiplied. And when they came out and went into the land of Israel, and David became their king, they multiplied. And it was like the sands of the sea. So he had completed that promise. But then this happened. Okay. Some people might know the story and some might, but I just want to bring it into perspective. Okay.
So you want to know.
Okay. Here we go.
The Assyrian capital, Nineveh, was a living testimony of its power and arrogance. The prophet Job. Their swords awaited the moment of the final attack. These were experienced men, veterans of countless battles, belonging to the feared Assyrian Empire. But something extraordinary was about to happen.
So many people don't understand this scenario right here. Like I said, Israel, you gotta go to. First of all, you have to understand who the Redeemer is, but he told Abraham, he's gonna multiply him and all that, right? And then Daniel came on the scene. When Daniel said that, gave us the understanding of the four beasts, four kingdoms, which is the kingdoms. It was Nebuchadnezzar, Medes and Persians, the Babylonians, Nebuchadnezzar, the Medes and Persians, the Greeks, and then the Romans came. Okay, but before these the four kingdoms that came into existence after the Most High completed his promise to Abraham, after Israel became a nation and multiplied. But it was kingdoms before that, which is this kingdom right here, the Syrian army. Nebuchadnezzar came after this, the head of the man, that the image they had. So right before that was this kingdom, the Syrian army, which is probably the biggest army ever in the history of the world. But check it out.
Something that would forever change the course of history. The year was approximately 701 BC, and Jerusalem found itself in an apparently impossible situation. King Hezekiah and his people were cornered within the city walls, facing what seemed to be their inevitable end. The Assyrian Empire, known for its unparalleled brutality and advanced warfare techniques, had conquered kingdom after kingdom, leaving a trail of destruction wherever it went. Woe to the Assyria, the rod of my anger. In your hand is the club of my indignation. The words of the prophet Isaiah 10:5 echoed like thunder over the most feared empire.
So let's look at that quick, because I think this is where a lot of people getting lost in the sauce at. So you go to Daniel right quick. Okay. You go to Daniel. Okay. And like I said, once you get this understanding, you got to do something with JC. So I'm in Daniel chapter 8. Right? This is the ram and the he-goat. And it says, chapter 8. Okay. It says, I'm in Daniel chapter 8, and he's getting an interpretation of what the dream that Daniel had about the ram and the he-goat. And then it says, verse 18, Daniel 8:18. Now, as he was speaking with me, this Gabriel talking to Daniel, I was in a deep sleep on my face toward the ground, but he touched me, set me upright, and he said, behold, here we go, right here. behold, I will make thee know what shall be in the last end of indignation. This is what people fumbling with, this word indignation. It says, and he said, behold, I will make thee know what shall be in the last end of indignation, for the time appointed, the end shall be. And I explained that in other videos. Not the end of the world. He got a promise with Israel. And he told David, if they keep his laws and statutes, they're going to continue to come in these gates and sit upon your throne. But his indignation is the Israel God. Now, it ain't JC. He says his indignation can't go forward. He tired of them. When you understand the story, they've been cast into all these different captivities because they kept turning away from him. And he brought the Moabites there. He brought the Philistines there. They was in Egypt, but now they was in Babylon. When they came back from Babylon, they picked right back up what they was doing again. So now this indignation, this angel, the angel of the Lord, our Redeemer, his indignation, it came to a full. So when he say his indignation, it's in these nations. Let's go look at it. Go to 2 Samuel, right? 2 Samuel. Look at what he told David. Chapter 7, right quick. So he tells David in start at verse 10, 2 Samuel. Nathan told David this. Moreover, this 2 Samuel 7 and 10. Moreover, I will appoint a place for my people. It's the Lord of hosts talking. And I will plant them, that they may dwell in the place of their own and move no more. Neither shall the children of wickedness. See that? So these some more people that's on the earth, that they children of wickedness. They're not Israelites. Afflict them anymore as before times. And as since the time that I commanded judges to be over my people Israel, and I have caused thee to rest from all thy enemies. Also the Lord telleth thee that he will make thee a house. And when thy days are fulfilled, he's talking to David, the Lord, same one that came to Abraham, took him to the land of Canaan. And when thy days be fulfilled, and thou shalt sleep with thy fathers, when David die, I will set up thy seed after thee, which shall proceed out of thy bowels, and I will establish his kingdom. Then he got stipulations to that. 13, he shall build a house for my name. I will establish the throne of his kingdom forever. I will be his father, because David dead, and he shall be my son. Now here you go. Here go the stipulation. If he commit iniquity, I will chasten him with the rod of men and with the stripes of the children of men. So that's these other wicked people up here. If Israel don't listen to him, don't keep his law, he gonna bring these wicked people to Israel. As long as they keeping the law, he gonna keep diverting them from not. He's not gonna put it on their mind to come to Israel. As long as they're doing right. When they start doing wrong, he goes and put it on their mind to bring these wicked nations there. That's the purpose of Gabriel telling Daniel about the 4 beasts. These 4 beasts gonna come because y'all ain't right. So these four kingdoms, these people are coming. But before that, Israel was sinning. So let's look at what this man just said. I'm gonna go back, rewind a little bit. Listen to what he said about the Most High's indignation.
Warfare techniques had conquered kingdom after kingdom, leaving a trail of destruction wherever it went. Woe to the Assyria, the rod of my anger. In your hand is the club of my indignation.
So the Syrians is in his hand. They're the ones he using, just like he just told David. If they don't do right, I'm gonna bring these wicked ass people to you. So he just told me right here, woe to Assyria. He's the club is in my hand for my indignation. Okay, and we just read in Daniel that Antiochus came. He brought Antiochus to bring the nation of Israel to an end and ran the Israelites out. So you got to understand that he used these wicked ass nations. Everything they do, he brought them there. He got them doing. Okay. So he brought the Syrians there right here.
Words of the prophet Isaiah 10:5 echoed like thunder over the most feared empire of antiquity. On the banks of the Tigris and Euphrates rivers, where today we find northern Iraq, stood a nation that made the ancient world tremble. The prophet Nahum, contemplating this army, described a terrifying scene. Their shields are red, their soldiers are clothed in scarlet, the chariots of the army are like flashes of lightning.
Sound like the Romans to me.
Nahum 2, 3, 4. It was a vision that would chill the blood of any nation that dared to oppose the Assyrian Empire. Under the command of King Sennacherib, who reigned from 705 to 681 BC, the empire reached new heights of power and cruelty. Like an overwhelming flood, as described by the prophet Isaiah, therefore the Lord will bring against them the mighty and many waters of the river, that is, the king of Assyria, with all his host. Isaiah 8:7. It was not just a metaphor, it was a brutal reality spreading across all known lands. In his 14th year of reign over Judah, King Hezekiah faced what seemed to be the inevitable end. The scriptures tell us that Sennacherib, king of Assyria, attacked all the fortified cities of Judah and captured them. 2 Kings 18:13. One by one, the strongholds of Judah fell like leaves in autumn before the Assyrian tempest. The Assyrian capital, Nineveh, was a living testimony of its power and arrogance. The prophet Jonah gives us an idea of its magnitude when he says, Nineveh was a great city. It took 3 days to go through it. Jonah 3:3. From the gates of this majestic city, Sennacherib commanded his armies with a blend of military brilliance and calculated cruelty. The Assyrian messengers were masters of psychological intimidation. Their words, preserved in the scriptures, reveal their...
So today, I was telling you about that. They're doing the same thing over in America. They got men around here that we throwed on the understanding that they're masters of brainwashing you and putting fear in you. They got it all because they know their history. They've been doing the same. They're doing the same thing now. So check it out. We talked about this story before, but I'm gonna go a little deeper into it.
Threatening not only the leaders, but also the common people. In 2 Kings 18:27, we see how they addressed the inhabitants of Jerusalem with grotesque threats, speaking of a fate so terrible that the very words evoked terror. The empire had already proven its power by conquering the northern kingdom. The 10 tribes of Israel had been taken into captivity, as recorded in 2 Kings 17, 5, 6. Samaria, which resisted for 3 years, finally succumbed to the Assyrian war machine. Its inhabitants were deported and scattered to the 4 corners of the empire, a tactic the Assyrians had perfected to break the resistance of conquered peoples. Sennacherib's arrogance reached its peak when he dared to compare the God of Israel to the idols of other nations.
And this right here, this is where the drama is. They don't understand who the God of Israel is. They come with a carnal mind. So the situation that Israel found itself in right here, this army, the Syrian army, got the whole nation of Israel surrounded. So, like I was saying before, you got any kind of common sense, 3rd grade education. Right here, whoever the deliverer is, they're gonna show up. If JC the deliverer, they say he was hid in Abraham's bosom, but he got to come out of Abraham's bosom. They surrounded by these Assyrians. They need to be delivered. The deliverer got to show up. Let's see what it is that show up.
In a speech full of blasphemy, his officials proclaimed, "Has any god of any nation ever been able to save his land from the king of Assyria? Where are the gods of Hamath and Arpad?
Right.
Where are the gods of Sepharvaim? Have they delivered Samaria out of my hand?" 2 Kings 18:33.
They don't know the God of Israel.
This was not just another battle for territory or resources. It was a direct challenge to the sovereignty of the God of Israel.
Okay.
The Assyrian Empire, in its pride, had crossed a line that no other nation had dared to cross. They were not just challenging an earthly kingdom, they were challenging the King of Kings himself.
Exactly.
The words of the prophet Isaiah gained new meaning as the siege approached. Therefore the Lord says about the king of Assyria, "He will not enter this city or shoot an arrow there. He will not come before it with shield or build a ramp against it." Isaiah 37:33. It was a promise that seemed impossible in the face of the overwhelming power of the Assyrian
Just
army.
like now.
Now, at the gates of Jerusalem, stood the most powerful army the world had ever known. With their 185,000 warriors, their war machines, their horses and chariots, the Assyrians seemed invincible. But they were about to learn a lesson that would echo through the centuries. No earthly empire, no matter how powerful, can compare to the power of the God of Israel. Amid the growing shadows of Assyrian power,
let's see who the
rose
God
a
Israel
city whose
is.
destiny was about to change the course of history. Jerusalem, the city of the great king, was under the leadership of a man whose name meant, "The Lord is my strength," Hezekiah. The scriptures present Hezekiah with words that few kings deserved. He did what the Lord pleased, just as his father David had done. He removed the idolatrous altars, smashed the sacred pillars, and cut down the sacred Asherah poles. 2 Kings 18, 3, 4. In a time of moral and spiritual compromise, Hezekiah stood out as a bright light in the darkness. From the beginning of his reign, at 25 years old, Hezekiah demonstrated extraordinary determination. The sacred text reveals that he trusted in the Lord, the God of Israel. There was never anyone like him among all the kings of Judah, either before or after him. 2 Kings 18:5. This was not a superficial trust, but a faith that would be tested in the darkest moments. Hezekiah's first act as king was to restore the Lord's temple, which had been neglected and defiled. The temple doors, closed by his father Ahaz, were reopened. In the first year of his reign, in the first month, he opened the doors of the Lord's temple and repaired them. 2 Chronicles 29:3. This was not just an architectural reform, but a spiritual awakening that began in the heart of the king. Under his leadership, Jerusalem experienced a remarkable transformation. The Levites were called to purify the temple, removing everything that was unclean. Worship was restored, sacrifices were reinstituted, and the people began to celebrate Passover again, a festivity that had not been properly observed for generations. From the days of Solomon, David's son, king of Israel, there had never been anything like it in Jerusalem. 2 Chronicles 30:26. But Hezekiah was not just a spiritual reformer, he was also a wise administrator and a prudent strategist. Knowing the dangers surrounding his kingdom, he strengthened Jerusalem's defenses. One of his most notable works was the Siloam Tunnel, an ancient engineering masterpiece that would ensure water for the city even during a prolonged siege. Hezekiah made the upper pool and the tunnel that brought water to the western part of the city of David. 2 Kings 20:20. Hezekiah's preparations did not stop there. The scriptures tell us that he rebuilt all the broken sections of the wall, raised up the towers on it, built another wall outside, strengthened the millstone house in the city of David, and made many spear shafts and shields. 2 Chronicles 32:5. Every stone placed, every weapon forged, was a testament to his prudence and foresight. However, Jerusalem's greatest strength was not in its walls or its water supply, but in the unwavering faith of its king. When rumors of the approaching Assyrians began to circulate, Hezekiah gathered his people and spoke words that would echo through the ages. "Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or discouraged because of the king of Assyria and the vast army with him. For the Lord your God is the one who goes with you. He will not leave you or forsake you." 2 Chronicles 32:7-8. This was the scene in Jerusalem when the first Assyrian flags appeared on the horizon. A fortified city not only with stones and mortar, but with faith and prayer. A people who, under the leadership of a righteous king, had returned to the God of their fathers. A nation about to witness one of the greatest demonstrations of divine power ever recorded in human history. The dust raised by thousands of marching feet could be seen from afar, like a sinister cloud approaching Jerusalem. The Assyrian army, with its terrifying reputation, was coming. The scriptures present this moment with dramatic precision. In the 14th year of King Hezekiah's reign, Sennacherib, king of Assyria, attacked all the fortified cities of Judah and captured them. 2 Kings 18:13. The first demonstration of strength came through Rabshakeh, a high-ranking official of Sennacherib. He did not come with drawn swords, but with words sharp as razors. Positioning himself near the upper pool aqueduct, on the way to the field of the lavenders, the same place where Isaiah had met King Ahaz years before, he began his psychological warfare speech. His words, preserved in detail in the scriptures, were a calculated mix of intimidation and seduction. Tell Hezekiah, the king of Judah, this is what the great king, the king of Assyria, says. Why do you trust in strategies and in might? Since you are nothing but talk, who do you trust to deliver you from me? 2 Kings 18:19-20. Rabshakeh, well versed in the local culture, spoke in Hebrew, not Aramaic, so that all the people on the walls could understand his threats. It was a deliberate tactic to sow fear and discord among the inhabitants of Jerusalem. Hezekiah's officials pleaded, "Please speak to us in Aramaic, for we understand you. Do not speak to us in Hebrew, because the people on the wall are listening." 2 Kings 18:26. But the Assyrian official simply raised his voice even higher, shouting in Hebrew, "Listen to the words of the great king, the king of Assyria. This is what the king says. Do not let Hezekiah deceive you. He cannot save you from my hand." 2 Kings 18:28-29. His words were like poisoned arrows, striking directly at the people's faith. The Assyrian strategy was clear. First, discredit Hezekiah's leadership. Then question their trust in God. Finally, offer a tempting alternative. Don't listen to Hezekiah. This is what the king of Assyria says. Make peace with me and surrender. Each of you will eat from your own vine and fig tree and drink water from your own cistern. 2 Kings 18:31. The most blasphemous moment came when Rabshakeh dared to compare the living God to the dead idols of other nations. Can any god of any nation save his land from the king of Assyria? Where are the gods of Hamath and Arpad? Where are the gods of Sepharvaim? Have they delivered?
Remember, we had the same conversation, Moses with the Pharaoh. Pharaoh ain't know who the God of Israel was, and neither do this nut bucket.
Samaria out of my hand. 2 Kings 18:33-34. The letter that Sennacherib sent to Hezekiah was even more explicit in its challenge. Do not let the God you trust deceive you when he says, Jerusalem will not be delivered into the king of Assyria's hand. Surely you have heard what the kings of Assyria have done to all the lands and their gods, destroying them completely. And you think you will be spared? 2 Kings 19:10-11. The siege of Jerusalem was not just a military conflict. It was a direct challenge to the sovereignty of the God of Israel. The words of the prophet Isaiah gained new meaning. Whom have you insulted and blasphemed? Against whom have you raised your voice and looked with pride? Against the Holy One of Israel. Isaiah 37:23. The people of Jerusalem faced a choice: trust in God's promises through Hezekiah, or surrender to the seductive threats and promises of the Assyrians. Rabshakeh's words had planted seeds of doubt. Do not let Hezekiah deceive you, saying, the Lord will deliver us. Has any god of any nation ever rescued his land from the king of Assyria? 2 Kings 18:32-33. But the people remained silent, following their king's instructions. The people remained silent and gave no reply to him, because the king had ordered, do not respond to him. 2 Kings 18:36. It was a silence that spoke louder than any response, a silence of trust in God. The Assyrian threat hung over Jerusalem like a dark cloud before a storm. But within the city walls, a king and his people were about to experience one of the greatest demonstrations of divine power ever recorded in human history. Faced with the Assyrian threats, Hezekiah's reaction reveals the true character of a man of God. When King Hezekiah heard this, he tore his clothes, put on sackcloth, and went into the temple of the Lord. 2 Kings 19:1. This was not a gesture of despair, but a profound act of humility and dependence on God. The contrast could not be more evident. On one side, the proud Assyrian Empire, trusting in its military might and its own greatness. On the other, a king kneeling before the God of the universe, acknowledging his total dependence on him. Scripture shows us that Hezekiah not only prayed, but poured out his heart before the Lord. With wisdom, Hezekiah sent his top officials, dressed in sackcloth, to the prophet Isaiah. They said to Isaiah, "This is what Hezekiah says. Today is a day of distress, rebuke, and humiliation. We are like a woman in labor, but we have no strength to give birth." 2 Kings 19:3. Hezekiah's prayer in the temple is one of the most moving moments in the biblical narrative. He laid the threatening letter from Sennacherib before the Lord, a symbolic gesture demonstrating his complete trust in God.
So who is he? Who the Israelites praying to? Who is Isaiah praying to?
His words reveal a deep understanding of the true nature of the conflict. Lord, the Lord Almighty, enthroned between the cherubim, you alone are God over all the kingdoms of the earth. You have made heaven and earth. Restore us, Lord, and have mercy on us. Look down from heaven and see, and hear the word Sennacherib has sent to ridicule the living God. 2 Kings 19:15-16. In his prayer, Hezekiah acknowledged the reality of the situation. Yes, the Assyrians had destroyed nations and their gods, but he understood the fundamental difference. It is true, Lord, that the kings of Assyria have devastated nations and their lands, and have thrown their gods into the fire, and they are no gods at all. They are only wood and stone, fashioned by human hands. 2 Kings 19:17.
Okay.
A good question is, how do
The conclusion of his prayer reveals the true reason for his plea. Now, Lord our God, deliver us from his hand, so that all the kingdoms of the earth may know that you alone, Lord, are God. 2 Kings 19:19. Hezekiah was not only praying for Jerusalem's survival, but for the glory of the Lord's name. This response of faith was not something new in Hezekiah's life. The scriptures tell us that he trusted in the Lord, the God of Israel. There was never anyone like him among all the kings of Judah, either before or after him. 2 Kings 18:5. Now that trust was being tested in the most critical moment of his life. While the king awaited divine response, his previous actions in preparing the city continued to benefit the people. The Siloam tunnel he had built ensured fresh water within the walls. The fortifications he had reinforced provided security, but his greatest work had been preparing the people's hearts to trust in the Lord. The words he had spoken earlier echoed through the corridors of Jerusalem. Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or discouraged because of the king of Assyria and the vast army with him. For the Lord your God is the one who goes with you. He will not leave you or forsake you. 2 Chronicles 32:7.
So notice what he said. Goes with you. We with you. We go with you.
Hezekiah's response to the crisis demonstrates an eternal principle. In the greatest trials, true strength does not lie in external resources, but in intimacy with God. His attitude teaches that, in the face of the most terrible threats, the believer's first resource must be prayer. As Hezekiah awaited prostrated in the temple, the word of the Lord came through the prophet Isaiah. The divine response did not delay, and his words sounded like thunder amid the storm. This is what the Lord says concerning Sennacherib, king of Assyria. I am about to put an end to this war against you, and you will not enter the city or shoot an arrow there. 2 Kings 19:20. What followed was one of the most powerful prophecies recorded in the scriptures. Through Isaiah, God directed himself first against the arrogance of the Assyrian Empire. The Lord will cause the arrogant pride of all your warriors to be like fine dust, which is swept away by a gust of wind. 2 Kings 19:21. It was a dramatic reversal. The city that seemed at the mercy of the Assyrians was now depicted as mocking its supposed conqueror. With cutting words, the Lord exposed the true nature of Sennacherib's sin. Whom have you insulted and blasphemed? Against whom have you raised your voice and looked with pride? Against the Holy One of Israel. 2 Kings 19:22. The Assyrian king had not only challenged a city, he had challenged God himself. The prophecy continued, dismantling the Assyrian presumption piece by piece. Through your own servants you have mocked the Lord, and you said, with my many chariots I have ascended to the heights of the mountains, to the tops of the Carmelites. I have cut down your cedars and taken your best fir trees. I have penetrated to the farthest limits of your forests, to your best woods. 2 Kings 19:23. But then came the surprising revelation. All the power and Assyrian conquests were, in fact, part of the divine plan. Have you not heard? I have heard a report from the Lord, and I have fulfillment from the Lord concerning you and your children, and all your forces. I have given you into his hand. He will put an end to the splendor of your armies. He will cut off your chariots and their drivers, the mighty men who run along with them. 2 Kings 19:25. God then revealed his verdict through Isaiah, a specific and detailed prophecy. Therefore, this is what the Lord says concerning the king of Assyria. He will not enter this city or shoot an arrow there. He will not come before it with shield or build a ramp against it. By the way he came, he will return. He will not enter this city, declares the Lord. 2 Kings 19:32-33. The prophecy included not only the protection of Jerusalem, but also a sign to confirm the divine word. This is the sign for you, Hezekiah. This year you will eat what grows of itself, and the next year what springs from that. But in the third year sow and reap, plant vineyards and eat their fruit. 2 Kings 19:29. It was a triple promise: immediate deliverance, gradual restoration, and future prosperity. The remnant of Judah would not only survive, but grow again. Once more, the remnant of the house of Judah will again take root in the land, and they will produce fruit upward. 2 Kings 19:30. Isaiah concluded the prophecy with a declaration that would echo through the centuries. For the remnant of the house of Judah will again take root in the land, produce fruit upward. 2 Kings 19:31. It would not be by military might or human wisdom, but by the zeal of the Lord himself that deliverance would come. The prophetic word brought not only a promise of deliverance, but also an exposure of human pride and an affirmation of divine sovereignty. It was a reminder that when God speaks, even the greatest earthly empires must bow. Historical accuracy. Archaeological excavations in Jerusalem have revealed Hezekiah's extensive preparations for the siege, especially the impressive Siloam Tunnel, mentioned in 2 Kings 20:20. This ancient engineering masterpiece, carved through solid rock, can still be visited today, attesting not only in sacred history, but also in secular records. As it is written in Psalm 48:8, as we have heard, so we have seen in the city of the Lord of hosts, in the city of our God. God has founded it forever. Historical evidence continues to confirm this ancient truth, reminding us that the God of history remains the Lord of the present. These things happened as examples and were written as warnings for us about those who have reached the end times. 1 Corinthians 10:11. With these words, we are reminded that the extraordinary story of Jerusalem's deliverance is not just a historical account, but an inexhaustible source of lessons for our lives today. The first and deepest lesson comes from Hezekiah's own attitude in the face of crisis. When confronted with a seemingly insurmountable threat, his first reaction was to seek the face of the Lord. Hezekiah received the letter from the messengers and read it. Then he went up to the temple of the Lord and spread it out before the Lord. 2 Kings 19:14. This simple but profound gesture teaches us that our greatest battles are first won in the place of prayer. The contrast between human trust and divine trust is striking in this narrative. Sennacherib trusted in his military power, in his battle experience, in his abundant resources. As he himself declared, "With my many chariots I have ascended to the heights of the mountains." 2 Kings 19:23. Hezekiah, on the other hand, declared to the people, "The Lord our God is with us to help us and to fight our battles." 2 Chronicles 32:8. There is also a powerful lesson about the danger of arrogance. As it is written in Proverbs 16:18, "Pride goes before destruction, a haughty spirit before a fall." Sennacherib not only challenged an earthly kingdom, but dared to mock the living God. His dramatic fall serves as a perpetual warning about the consequences of pride. The story teaches us about the importance of balancing faith and action.
Hi, everybody.
Okay, so when you understand what happened in that story, the angel of the Lord showed up. And we saw in the process of listening to that it says that the Holy One came. Well, it's only 7 holy ones when you read the book of Enoch. It's only 7 holy angels, 7 angels, 7 holy ones. So when you read the story, an angel showed up. So all this story right here, this drawn out story, that's what he's praying to. He said, for the God of Israel to come and deliver them. Right? And he said that the angel, that wherever you go, I'm with you. So whoever showed up is the God over Israel. When we got ample evidence in the scriptures to show you that the God over Israel is the angel Michael. Let's look at it right here. Go to 2 verses. Then we'll go to something else. Okay, so we go to Daniel, right? And then you'll see in Daniel chapter 9, I think it is. Yeah, Daniel chapter 10, verses 20 and 21 says, then said he, Gabriel talking to Daniel, know thou wherefore I come unto thee, and now will I return to fight with the prince of Persia. Okay, prince of Persia, and when I am gone forth, lo, the prince of Greece shall come. Then here go your understanding, verse 21. Gabriel talking to Daniel, but I will show thee that which is noted in the scriptures of truth. There is none that holdeth with me in these things but Michael, your prince. So this the angel that showed up in this situation and delivered the Israelites. Michael showed up and destroyed 185,000 Syrian soldiers. So the whole process, that's who Hezekiah and the Israelites praying to come deliver them. They ain't praying to JC. They don't know him. So we see right here, the same angel came to Abraham. And he told Abraham, get thee from thy kindred. I'm going to take you back. I'm going to fix this situation that happened with the Canaan. And I'm going to take you back to your land. So then, in one more situation, in 12, Daniel 12, it says, and at that time, Michael, right here, I tell you who it is. At that time, Michael shall stand up, the great prince, which standeth for the children of thy people, and there shall be a time of trouble, such as never was since there was a nation, even at that same time. And at that time, thy people shall be delivered. They're going to deliver everyone that shall be found written in the book. So, same person right here, same one showed up and delivered them from Sennacherib, the same one that showed up in Egypt, right here. They even give you his name. Okay. So, any comments?
Shalom. Is Jerusalem considered the city of God?
Say that again.
Is Jerusalem considered the city of God?
Yes. Mm-hmm. So what God is it that he's the city of? Understanding what we just went through, what we just read. Who city is it?
The city of the Israelites?
Yeah, it's the Michaels. The temple that's in Jerusalem is Michael temple. So
the Lord of hosts.
Right, same person. God, the angel of the Lord, Michael, Lord of hosts, all the same being. So in the book of Enoch, don't Yahweh have a temple in heaven?
Yes, sir.
So the temple on earth ain't not Yahweh. Yahweh temple is in heaven. Enoch said they brought him, took him up, and they took him to the temple that's in heaven, Yahweh temple. He said it's made out of crystal. So the temple on the earth, the God of the whole earth, is the Lord of hosts. That's his temple, and it's in Jerusalem. Okay, that's what another thing why people, like I was saying, when you understand the story, when they draw it out, who they praying to, who they say come, they tell whoever the God of Israel is, he said, you come and deliver us. You always there. Lord of hosts ain't, Yahweh, the Most High didn't come down in chapter 12 in Genesis 12 and take Abraham back to the land of Canaan. It's the Lord of hosts. He's the one came in to destroy the Assyrians. That's the God that's over Israel. And then the kicker is the Holy One. Yahweh ain't no Holy One. You got 7 Holy Ones. They all angels. And we see right here, they tell you his name, Michael. And I just went to those two situations, but they tell you in Daniel chapter 12, Michael. And then in Daniel chapter 10, Michael. That's the God, that's the strong one. El. Yahweh ain't no El. So we see right here, and you go back and look at it, the same, it's an angel that came and delivered them from the Assyrian army. So who you think it was that delivered them from Egypt? It's an angel. That's the God that's over Israel. Okay, that's his land. It was given to him at the Tower of Babel when the earth was divided up. That land is given to him. So the Creator sent him to Egypt to deliver the Israelites, and he brought them back to the land that was given to him. And then he in turn gave the land to them, to the Israelites. That's why he went and fixed it when he went and got Abraham and brought him back there. Okay. Anybody else got any comments, questions? Everybody good?
Yes,
Okay.
I'm good.
Okay, so like I said, the title on this side in the class is the wall, right? And the Nehemiah and the sealed ones. And the reason I'm doing this is, like I said before, when you understand what these people have done to our records, and they plagiarize everything, nothing that they've given us or nothing that we've discovered that they told us in history, they got it from us, got it from our records and everything. So we see in Revelation, which is don't have nothing to do with us, that it's 144,000 sealed ones, right? They want you to think it's 12,000 from each tribe. The sealed ones, you got all these Hebrew Israelites, Christian Hebrew Israelites. They striving on that. The sealed ones, the 144,000, right? So let's look at this story right here and let's see where it came from. I'm in Nehemiah. Okay. First off, people that's been around for a minute might understand what's going on, but I'm gonna go back and show you something in Daniel 9:25. You got to go there first. So you go to Daniel 9:25. So they took this prophecy and twisted JC up in it when he don't have nothing to do with it. So it says in Daniel 9:25, the Israelites is in captivity in Babylon, right? Know therefore and understand that from the going forth of the commandment to restore and to build Jerusalem shall be 7 weeks, 62 weeks. The streets shall be built again, and the wall, even in troublesome times. So you're thinking like a Hebrew, the wall is your focus. You want they didn't came back and throw JC in there. Now your focus is you dealing with JC. But if you want to get to the bottom of when did this happen and what the truth is about it, they in Babylon when Daniel made this prophecy. So he says that they're gonna come back Streets gonna be built again, and the wall. What wall? The same wall we just did. The other story we just dealt with. That's what the Syrian army came to. The walls. This big wall that David built around Jerusalem. That's what the Syrian army came to. Okay? So now, the prophecy, like I said, is in before they in Babylon. Is, he told them they was going there for 70 years. We had 69 years. So he's saying that it's coming a time real soon, y'all going back and rebuild the wall. Right? Or pat a wall. So we have to go back. When you understand what's going on, we're going to go to the book of Nehemiah. And this right here ought to let you know something ain't right, because you got to go backwards. Right? Why would the book of Nehemiah be in front of the book of Daniel, when Daniel prophesying about the book of Nehemiah? So we dealing with the wall, right? That's the focus. So I'm gonna start reading in Nehemiah chapter 6. Now it came to pass, like I told you, right here. It's saying this because of the prophecy in Daniel 9:25 coming to pass right here. Now it came to pass when Sanballat and Talbot and Gershom and the Arabian and the rest of our enemies heard that they had built the wall. See that? Build the wall. Ain't no in the future, none of that. So it says that they had built the wall, and that thou was not breached, there was no breach left therein. Thou and though at that time I had not set up the doors upon the gates, that Sanballat Gershom sent unto me, saying, come, let us meet together in one of the villages in the plains of Ona, but they thought to do me mischief. And I sent messages unto them, saying, I am doing a great work, so that I cannot come down. And why should the work cease while I leave it and come down to you? So what he's doing is prophesying. He's completing the prophecy that Daniel said in Daniel 9:25. He's dealing with the wall. He's saying, why'd I come down off of this wall when what y'all want, right? And then it says 4. Yet they sent unto me 4 times after this sort, and I answered them after the same manner. Then said Sanballat and his servants unto me in the like manner the 5th time, with an open letter in his hand, wherein was written, it is reported among the heathens, and Gershom saith it, that thou and the Jews think to rebel, for which cause thou hast built the wall. They go the wall, right? That thou mayest be their king according to their words. And thou hast also appointed prophets to preach of thee at Jerusalem, saying, there is a king in Jerusalem, and now shall it be reported to the king according to these words. Come now, therefore, and let us make a council together. So these Edomites, Moabites, these people that got a problem with Israel, they don't want the Israelites coming back and rebuilding Jerusalem, right? So what I just read, this guy lying. He lying about because the king, the actual king that's coming is Zerubbabel. So he lying and saying that Nehemiah is telling everybody he the king. So let's look at verse 8. Then sent I, this Nehemiah, then sent I unto him, saying, there are no such things done as thou sayest. See, he lying. But thou fringest them out of thine own heart. So you concocted out of your own mind. For they are all made us afraid, saying, the hands shall be weakened from the work that must not be done. Now therefore, O God, strengthen my hand. Afterwards I came unto the house of Shimei, the son of Delah, the son of, I can't say these names, Medababil, who was shut up. And he said, let us meet together in the house of God within the temple, and let us shut the doors of the temple, for they will come to slay thee. Yea, in the night will they come to slay thee. They're trying to kill Nehemiah, right? And I said, should such a man as I flee? And who is there that, being as I am, will go into the temple to save his life? I will not go in. And lo, I perceive that God had not sent him, but that he pronounced his prophecy against me, for Tobias and Sanballat that hired him. Therefore was he hired, that I should be afraid, okay, and do so, and seeing that they might have matters for an evil report, that they might reproach me. My God, think thou upon Tobiah and Sanballat according to these their works, and on the prophetess Mevida, whatever her name is, and the rest of the prophets that would have put me in fear. Now here we go. Right, I read 9:25. Here you go. We're gonna pick up right here, 15. So the wall was finished. So that prophecy over with. Daniel 9:25. They got you reading that going into the future, talking about some kind of future event. So here, right here, 15. Prophecy is complete. So the wall was finished in the 25th day of the month of Elul, in the 5th year and 2 days. And it came to pass that when all our enemies heard, therefore, and all the heathens that were about us saw these things, they were, check it out, they were much cast down in their own eyes, for they perceived that this work was wrought of God, for the Lord of hosts. Moreover, in those days, the nobles of Judah sent many letters unto Tobias, and the letters unto Tobias came unto them. For there was many in Judah sworn unto him, because he was the son-in-law of Shemaiah, the son of Arah, and his son Jochanan had taken the daughter of Meshullam, the son of Bechiah. Also, they reported his good deeds before me, and uttered my word to him. And Tobias sent letters, okay, to put me in fear, right? So now here we are in verse 7. Chapter 7. Now it came to pass when the wall was built, and I had set up the doors, and the porters, and the singers, and the Levites were appointed, that I gave my brother Hananiah, and Hananiah, the ruler of the palace, charge over Jerusalem, for he was the faithful man, and feared God above many. And I said unto them, let not the gates of Jerusalem be open until the sun be hot, and while they stand by, let them shut the doors and the bars and bar them, and appoint watchers of the inhabitants of Jerusalem, everyone in his watch, and everyone to be over against the house. Okay, and then it says, now the city was large and great, but the people were few therein, and the houses were not built. Okay, so then in verses 5, I'm gonna go all the way to 63. These just listing all of the Israelites that came back from Babylon, right? So verse 63 says, and of the priests, the children of Hebat, children of Cuz, children of Barzillai, which took one of the daughters of Barzillai, the Gadite, to wife, okay, and was called after their names. 64. These sought their register among them, those that were reckoned by genealogy, but it was not found thereof, where they, as polluted, put from priesthood. And the Tishite said unto them that they should not eat of the most holy things till there stood up a priest with the Urim and the Thummim. And the whole congregation together was 42,303 score, besides their manservants and their maidservants, for whom there was 7,337, and they had 245 singing men and singing women. Their horses 736, their mules 245. Their camels, their 435, 600 and 720 asses. And some of the chiefs of the fathers gave unto the work. And the Tishite gave to the treasurer 1,000 drums of gold, 50 basins, 530 priest garments. And some of the chiefs of the fathers gave to the treasurer of the work 20,000 drums of gold and 2,200 pounds of silver. And that which the rest of the people gave was 20,000 drums of gold and 20,000 pounds of silver, 67 priest garments. So the priests and the Levites and the porters and the singers and some of the people and the Neathan, right? The Neathan and all dwelt in their cities. And when the 7th month came, the children of Israel were in their cities. So here we go right here, chapter 8. And all the people gathered together as one man. See that? We talked about this the other day. And all the people gathered together as one man. So this is where the son come in at. We talked about the other day. One man, that's where you get the singular part. It's not no one man, but he see them as one man. When he looked down at Jerusalem, he see one man, which is Jacob. Jacob had 12 sons. So this is an example right here. And all the people gathered themselves together as one man in the streets that were before the water gate. And they spake unto Ezra, the scribe, to bring the book of the law of Moses, which the Lord had commanded to Israel. And Ezra the priest brought the law before the congregation, both of men and women, and all that would hear and understand upon the first day of the 7th month. And he read therein before the streets that was before the water gate from the morning until midday, before the men and the women and those that could understand, and the ears of all the people were attentive unto the book of the law. So this is also fulfilling what I just read in Daniel 9:25. He said, the streets shall be built again and the wall. Well, here they go. They all in the streets right here. Men, women, and children. 4. And Ezra the scribe stood upon the pulpit of wood, which they had made for the purpose. And besides him, here you go. So Ezra was standing there, he's a priest. And besides him, Nathan, I can't say these names. So all these is Levites, right? Verse 5, Ezra opened the book in the sight of all the people, for he was above all the people. And when he opened it, all the people stood up. And Ezra blessed the Lord, the great God. And all the people answered, Amen and Amen. And with the lifting up of their hands, and they bowed their heads and worshiped the Lord with their faces to the ground. And Joshua, Abinah, and I can't say all these names, okay? Verse 8, and they read in the book in the law of God distinctly and gave the sense and caused them to understand the reading. And Nehemiah, which is the Tishite, and Ezra, the priest, the scribe, and the Levites that taught the people, said unto all the people, this day is holy unto the Lord your God. Mourn not nor weep, for all the people wept when they heard the words of the law. Then he said unto them, go your way, eat the fat, drink the sweet, and send a portion to them for whom nothing is prepared. For this day is holy unto our Lord. Neither be ye worried, nor joy of the Lord is your strength. So the Levites stilled all. Notice what the Levites doing. So the Levites stilled all the people, saying, hold your peace, for the day is holy, neither be grieved. And all the people went their way to eat and to drink and to send portions and to make great merit, because they had understood the words that were declared unto them. Okay, verse 10. And on the second day were gathered together the chiefs of the fathers of all the people, the priests and the Levites under Ezra the scribe, even understand the words of the law, even to understand the words of the law. And they are found written in the law which the Lord had commanded by Moses, that the children of Israel should dwell in booths in the feast of the second month, and that they should publish and proclaim in all the cities and in Jerusalem, saying, go forth into the mount and fetch olive branches, pine branches, myrtle branches, palm branches, and branches of thick trees, and make booths as it is written. So you say, what are you talking? What's going on right here? What they using right here? What they did right here that has nothing to do with JC over in the New Testament. When JC supposedly came into the city, this is what they was doing. And the people had all the branches from these trees, right? They then backdoored and put JC in the story. Anyway, at 16, so the people went forth and brought them and made themselves booths, everyone upon the roof of his house, and in their courts, and in the courts of the house of God, and in the streets of the water gate, and in the streets of the gates of Ephraim, and all the congregation of them that would come again out of the captivity. See, that came out of Babylon, like Daniel said, made booths, and they sat under the booths. For since the days of Joshua, son of Nun, until that day had not the children of Israel done so, and there was very great gladness. Also, day by day, from the first day until the last day, he read in the book of the law of God, and they kept the feast 7 days, and on the 8th day was a solemn assembly according to the manner, right? Okay, and then we're going to go to verse 9, chapter 9. Now on the 20th and 4th day of the month, children of Israel were assembled with fasting and sackcloth and earth upon them. And the seed of Israel separated themselves from the strangers, stood and confessed their sins and iniquity of their fathers. This is what we have to do. Same thing, before we can go back. Yes, let me read it again. Go back to Genesis in the garden. The Most High took the man whom he formed and separated him, put him in the garden, right? So we see the same thing right here. Now in the 20th and 4th day, Nehemiah 9 and 1. Now on the 20th and 4th day of the month, they came out of the captivity. This month, the children of Israel were assembled with fasting, sackcloth, and earth upon them. And the seed of Israel separated themselves from all the strangers. And this is the opposite of the New Testament. Say, for strangers, and stood and confessed their sins and the iniquity of their fathers. And they stood up in their place and they read in the book of the law. Okay, JC said the law is done away with. They stood up in their place and they read in the book of the law of the Lord their God, 1/4 part of the day, and another fourth part they confess and worship the Lord their God. So this has to happen before we leave. Israelites, nobody drafted in. Okay, verse 4. Then stood up upon the stairs the Levites, Joshua, Benai, Kamal, I'm messing his names up, Sheba, Boni, Shebiah, Bani, okay, and cried. See that? And they cried with a loud voice unto the Lord their God. Levites. Ain't nobody else do it. 5. Then the Levites, Joshua, I just read that, don't bow. And then 6. And thou, even thou art the Lord alone. Thou hast made heaven, the heavens of heaven, and all the hosts, their hosts, the earth, and all things that are therein, the seas, and all that is written therein, and thou preservest them all, and the host of heaven worshipeth thee. Thou art the Lord, the God, who didn't choose Abraham. See that? We know it was an angel that went to Abraham, chose Abraham, and brought him forth out of Ur of the Chaldeans and gave him this land. See that? It's an angel. Like I said, we just watched the story. It's an angel. Okay, now this is the part I want to go before I close out. So they tell you about the 144,000, right? So here we go. This is when Daniel prophesied that in 925 that they got to go back and build a wall. So everything I'm reading is after they finish the wall. Now I'm in Nehemiah 10. Here you go. Those who are sealed. See that? Those who are sealed in the covenant. Now it says, those that are sealed were Nehemiah. See that? Give you their name. All these men right here. This is where they get this from. This 144,000. See right here? Now, these are the sealed. They sealed. Like I said, that's how they concoct the New Testament from the Old Testament. So this 144,000 sealed, they concocted it from right here. Let that frame out. Anyway, anybody got any questions, comments about anything they heard me talking about? Want to dive in on it or try to break it down or what? Everybody good? Any questions, comments? Okay.
I highly recommend that you get this book and you read it because it's a must that you understand who God head is in the order that's in the Old Testament and Tanakh, because it's not the same as in the New Testament. And when you read this and you get an understanding, then the scriptures open up and then you begin to understand. So I highly recommend that you get this book. It's the Elohim of Israel, and it's a breakdown on the word Elohim and who the God of Israel is and the Godhead.